you believe that we started recording right in the middle of 2020 with all of the COVID and lockdowns going on around us, unable to meet up? So like many a young gentleman, we turned to the internet for our entertainment. Tried to find a place where we could meet up and talk about the good, the bad, and that time that Stu saw a pelican on the canal. In order to facilitate our dreams of answering all of the big questions in film, and after a few attempts at recording via other methods to various levels of success, we found Zencastr, a super easy web-based one-stop shop for recording. Log in and you're ready to record in a matter of seconds. It doesn't take a tech genius to get high quality audio or video. And on top of that, the one time we have had an issue, the fact that the multi-layered backups are stored locally means it's easily fixed all in browser. There are plenty of tools you need when you start podcasting, so let Zencastr take that headache away, as it offers a place to record, edit and distribute all from one website. Any lazy bones Jones can pick up and play and have studio quality audio or 4K video put out for the world to see when using Zencastr. Go to zencastr.com/pricing and use our code CAGEFIGHTING and you'll get 30% off your first month of any Zencastr paid plan. We want you to have the same easy experiences we do for all our podcasting and content needs. It's time to share your story. And now, hit the music. Hello and welcome to Cage Fighting. Christmas is just around the corner. We've got like 8 days to go, so I hope everybody's ready and willing to go down for this one.
I mean, if they're willing to go down, there you go.
Don't know what the fuck I was saying. I lost my train of thought halfway through.
This is what happens. This is Christmas. It's innuendo central.
It is. So it's Andy, Stu, Ed. Hello, everybody.
You ever had a photocopy incident at a Christmas party, haven't you? Because having not worked in that situation, you seem like prime photocopy arse material. No, not that you've done it, but you've seen someone do it.
Like, I've never had a Christmas party in an office.
No, me either.
So when we've had Christmas parties, they've all been like at a pub, a function room, whatever. But I don't know if like a Christmas party in the office, I don't know if that's actually a done thing in the UK. I don't know anywhere that's actually done it. It feels kind of Americanized.
It was back in the day when you used to have some of the bigger offices used to have its own like club, you know, subsidized pub on the premises. I think it was then. So one of my first jobs was working at Empower in Oldbury, and only 2 or 3 years before that you could smoke in the offices, so the computers were like yellow with smoke. And the canteen 3 or 4 years prior to that used to have, you know, a bar of sorts in the afternoons on Fridays, and Friday evenings used to be, they'd all tip out of the MEB office, as it was back then, into the pub, literally over the car park.
Well, that new place in town, that space, pub bar thing, is based in the old Express and Star canteen.
So I don't even know what you're talking about. What's this?
It's when me and Pricey went to meet Joel from Portland before the last Wolves humiliation against Bournemouth. Before the game, he went in this place because it's space. It's like a new cocktail bar. I thought, well, that instantly screams shit. But actually,
because it's in Wolverhampton, doesn't it?
They had a live singer on. She was really good. And if you show your season ticket, you get 20% off. So I'll presume that's only on match day, but it was all right. As pubs go in the town centre, in the city centre on a match day, because it's kind of off the beaten track and it's not on a main road or anything, you don't know about it. Obviously, when it gets more well known, it's going to get rammed in there. And it did take 5 minutes to get served, but it was all right. But that was in opposite the other side, the back of the Express and Star building. You know where you got that little walkway?
Yes.
Yeah. So under there, on the left, if you're going towards the bus station, it's on the left, on the right hand side. That's where the canteen used to be.
Okay.
So there we are, office canteen talk.
But I've never photocopied anything, any body part.
I mean, I
Did it
but
you-
isn't that-
Yeah, because I did it youth club. We had to do some weird art thing at youth club when I was a nipper, and like we had to-
you got your lip right.
yeah. No, I photocopied body parts, but not that body part. Because they'd have been like the cops would have been down there immediately if that was the case. I think.
Yeah, youth club is the key words there, isn't it?
Yeah,
I mean,
a little bit.
I did it with a scanner in my own house, but not on a. It's there.
I'm not over my cough enough to stop laughing at this. I'm so sorry. I'm going to pop myself on mute.
The weirdest thing I've ever seen in an office that's around Christmas is we once, when I was first became a manager, I was very young. I was only like 22. We all had to go to a meeting, and we were, the whole team, and everyone was going to get a Christmas present. And there was one lad who was 17, 18, didn't come. So I went back upstairs to find him, and he was standing on top of a roller chair. And this was like the mid 2000s, so we had the big printers, and he was rocking backward and forwards on this roller chair, holding onto two big printers, and scooting himself down the middle of the aisle of the office. And in his head, that was completely normal to do. And I was like, "What are you doing?" And he just went, "Seeing how far I can go." And he said, "Can I do one more?"
What are you going to get though to do that?
So, "Can I do one more? I want to try and beat where I've just got to." I was like, "Yeah, of course you can." Let him do it, and then we went back downstairs. But it was just a sheer plain face, like look on his face. It just said, "Why wouldn't I do this?"
You've got the opportunity. Why not?
I don't want my selection box that you're going to give me that was a quid from Aldi. I want to do office chair surfing.
That's outstanding. Right, we're here to discuss Christmas presents this week. So we'll start off. Obviously, we started to gear up for our review of the year at this point. So, what are the films that you haven't seen from this year that are still on your list to try and catch up? Could be films, could be TV shows. Because like Silo's on my list. We're like 4 weeks in at this point, and I haven't had a chance to catch up. So, films, TV, whatever you've got. Stu, what's outstanding at the minute?
Yeah, same. Silo's on mine. I don't know why. Because I did think it's been a couple of years, amazingly. It seems like since the first one, and however much we raved about it. And I thought, I can't remember a single thing about it other than the ending. And so I watched 3 recap videos, and I was like straight back in. Oh yeah, it never been away. I remember every single thing. And then I was watching the Adam Savage behind the scenes look on how they make it as well. So I was watching his videos on that, which is Adam Savage being himself as usual. But yeah, I don't know why. I just haven't got around to it yet. Same with both the House of Dragon and Ring of Power season 2. Neither of which.
Finished now?
No, I don't think so. I don't think neither of them are finished. I think they've got another. Well, they like pitch at 4 years each.
Look, I know that House of Dragon's still got a couple of years left. I think, but I didn't know if it was just going to be like 2 seasons and out for the Lord of the Rings thing or what. I wasn't sure.
Well, apparently everyone hates it, but then you look at the ratings it gets, and it's a bit of a winner for them.
Yeah.
And so, I enjoyed the first one. I don't know what happened with it. But yet again, they came out together, and I watched neither of them at the time. So we get back to them, and I'll get back to Dune Prophecy, which obviously you're never going to watch, but I will.
I've got them lined up. I just haven't been asked to watch them.
It's a prequel. You might not hate it as much, but there's a few things on the old film list, like Smile 2, because you kept yabbering on about it, and so I'm gonna have to tick it off. Gladiator 2, Moana 2, I'm gonna get around to at some point. Maybe it's amazingly, since people are talking about Oscar stuff for Gladiator 2, even though review wise it doesn't seem to have done that well. There's the Chain film where I can never remember, with Halle Berry in the house.
Oh, don't bother.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I can't remember what it's called. I know the one you mean.
It was advertised at the same time as Heretic, which is another one on the list. And Monkey Man, because for some reason I didn't watch it.
Oh, so good. And you'd love that as well.
I know I would.
Yeah, you really would. Did you watch that Dave Bautista film, The Kill? No, wasn't The Kill Game, or what was it called?
I know what you mean.
Right. So Never Let Go is the Halle Berry film.
Yes,
Yeah,
chain film.
yeah. I don't think you'll like that, Stu. It was kind of dull. Right, Dave Bautista, the other one, which I really think is properly up your street. That one is called The Killer's Game.
Yeah.
I really think you'll like that. It's got proper 80s throwback style to it. So you need to get that one done and dusted as well.
Yeah, they'll all be watched by the time we do our roundup.
Ed, before we did that answer, Game of Thrones and Lord of the Rings, either of those two things on your radar?
The Lord of the Rings films, I've never watched a second of Game of Thrones. Only when it first came out and everyone was watching it on Gogglebox, and I watched it through them, but I've never watched any of them. Not through any sort of like, just it felt like I was late to the party, and then it was just too much to catch up on. But Lord of the Rings, the films I've watched, the books, and I'm waiting for my Spotify audiobooks to tick over for the 3 hours to finish the audiobooks, because I've tried reading them since I was about 12 and I've never been able to physically do it. So Andy Serkis has read me through has read them to me the last sort of 4 months or so, because they're quite long and arduous. But yeah, I love the films. I haven't watched any of the TV shows though.
Have you seen the Hobbit films as well?
Yeah, the Hobbit films. Great book, awful movie. I couldn't stand any of them. It was overly, shouldn't have been 3 movies long, should have just been one fun romp where it was a bit more of a young adults. And if you knew The Hobbit, you knew The Lord of the Rings. That's the way I'd have pitched it. They all went on for far too long, and there was too much broodiness and stuff in that. It just wasn't for me. It's a bit too serious.
I was going to say, yeah. So what's your answer to the question?
So in terms of TV shows, I really wanted to watch Rivals, which was on Disney Plus, and I haven't got around to it yet, where it's new money versus old money, and the cast is incredible, and it's based on is it Jilly Cooper? It's based on her book.
Yeah.
And, there's Danny Dyer's in it being Danny Dyer. There's David Tennant being sort of a stuck-up lord. You've got, it's like British royalty. Catherine Parkinson's in it, I think, as well. Aidan Turner, is that the bloke who was it Poldark? Was that who it was? So it's got, and that looks a lot of fun. I watched the trailer when it came on before another Disney Plus thing. Gladiator 2, desperate to watch. This just shows how much of a basic bitch I am when it comes to films. So Gladiator 2 is on my list. I even really want to see Red One, because it's about Christmas, and it's got The Rock in it. So that's tick 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 for me. The only film that's kind of maybe off the beaten track I really want to see is Heretic with Hugh Grant. It's off the beaten track, especially for me, because it's technically horror, although it looks a bit more like a sort of suspense thriller type thing. I saw the trailer to it before Deadpool and Wolverine, and I've wanted to see it since, and I think it'll be on streaming soon from a quick Google. So I'll wait for that.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's still hanging on.
It is.
In a minute. But it is good. It is such a good film. I love Hugh Grant. I love late stage Hugh Grant as well.
Yeah. This Hugh Grant's better.
I think it's some of the best work he's ever done, if I'm honest, the last probably decade or so. I think when he started using what we know Hugh Grant to be, this affable, I don't say dumb, but he's got this sort of,
it's bumbling, isn't it?
Bumbling, yeah, that's the word I'm looking for. When he's using that to just completely subvert the expectations, and he's doing the best work of his career for it. Yeah, I'm all up for that one. Just noticed on the cinema tomorrow night in our world, which is the 9th of December in the real world, It's a Wonderful Life is showing at the cinema. That might be one to do. Yeah, Heretic it's down to 1 showing a day this week, 12:30. Red One has got 3 showings a day somehow.
Of course it has.
Because it's got The Rock in it. What more?
People's champion.
It's funny though, because Moana 2's hit, and that's just blown it out of the water. because that's coming strong, and I'm sure it's got like over 200 million in its opening weekend. And I don't think Red One has hit that, and it's been out for 3 or 4 weeks at this point. So it's people clearly want Moana 2 and don't want to see him in anything else at this point.
Yeah, well, that was always going to happen, though, worry. But Moana's just a. I watched it actually for the first time ever. So I went on the old eBay and got the 3D Blu-ray of it. So I never watched it in 3D, obviously, because it was a kids' film. And they ain't gonna sit there with glasses on. It was quite bland as a 3D film, which you look at it and you think, oh, this would be spectacular with things flying out everywhere like Avatar. It really made no difference. It was still obviously excellent, but it added nothing to it at all. Which
We've spoken about this before, though, with so many films that aren't made for 3D, that aren't made for the gimmick, and then just retrofitted later that just don't really add anything. So
The
I guess
Polar-
that's probably what it was.
Polar Express, on the other hand, perfect for it.
Here's a question: is Polar Express dog shit?
I've
No?
never watched it.
Oh, I think it's terrible. I just don't get the hype. I don't understand why people like it.
Is this
It
the Tom
might
Hanks
be my
in this one?
Tom Hanks thing.
Yeah.
It might be that, but I also think it's shit. I think it's really boring, and it looks awful. I don't know if it's the uncanny valley thing because
Probably.
it kind of looks a bit like Tom Hanks, but not enough, but also too much, and it's off-putting. I don't like it.
I know it's got a lot of hype around it. I never watched it though. So
I don't think you're missing much, to be honest, Ed.
no, it's not one I've been desperate to watch.
It's more one that's kind of bled into the fact that it's more of a kids thing than anything else. That one, and the whole
Probably.
the whole
It's quite juvenile, isn't it?
yeah, and the whole Christmas train thing, which is why I watched it, obviously, as mentioned last week. But yeah, I know what you mean. It is no in no way going to be my like, top choice. If I didn't watch it ever again, I'd be absolutely fine with that. But it's still very, very Christmas enjoyable, or Christmas adjacent.
Yeah, it gets away with it because of its Christmassiness for you.
Yeah.
I get you. On my list to catch up, so I mentioned Silo. I've just had a really busy few weekends, and like I watch it with my other half, so just haven't had time to fit it in yet. And like you said, Stu, I just want to watch a couple of reminders of the last season. Not because I don't remember it, but because there was so much packed into those 10 episodes.
Yeah.
Like it was proper chock. I've watched a recap of the first couple episodes, and there's just so much in there. And I thought, yeah, I just want to refresh my memory on the whole season first. So that's why I haven't started that one yet. Superman and Lois obviously finished. The end of the Arrowverse finished on the 3rd of December. I mean, don't get me wrong, the quality of it was very hit and miss at points. But for what they managed to achieve on television with having how many shows running, Stu? Was it like 8 in the end? 7, something like that?
Those
'Cause you had-
Arrow,
you had-
Flash, Legends,
Supergirl,
Supergirl, Stargirl.
Batwoman,
Oh fucking hell, yeah, Batwoman.
Black Lightning,
Yeah,
Superman and Lois.
and the one that was cancelled straight away.
Swamp Thing. I don't think Swamp Thing was part of the Arrowverse. I think that was on HBO Max, if I remember rightly. Because it was when they launched the DC streaming app that never took off. But I mean, regardless, is it Belanti, isn't it, who did them? To have run that many shows across that many years, there was like nearly 700 episodes, maybe 600 episodes, something like that across the whole universe. And it's somehow they intertwined and all this. Like that feat, when you think they got like The Simpsons and Law and Order, I think are the 2 longest running TV shows with over 1,000 episodes. I think what they achieved was absolutely spectacular. Good, bad, indifferent as it was, what they managed to do across that period of time, I think was kind of special. Because when it was good, it was some of the best TV. Like the peak of Supergirl was fantastic, I thought.
I mean, when we used to get it was one of them instant downloads, wasn't it? Every week without fail. You knew you knew when it was coming on. You'd set your old torrent machine to download it, and then by the time you got back from work, you'd watch it straight away. And it was one of them I wouldn't wait for any of it. I mean, I haven't seen the last 2 seasons of Superman and Lois, but I did like it. It was just one of them things. It just bad time and place. But every other one, like you said, we watched all of it from start to finish.
The only one I think I dropped out of Batwoman.
Batwoman, yeah, but
After like 4 episodes, it was shit. But yeah,
no, it wasn't shit. It was a woke propaganda machine, which was awful as well.
Terribly miscast, wasn't she?
Yeah, and she was. I mean, she seems like a terrible person as well, which doesn't help.
Yeah.
But that didn't really affect anything else, did it? Because they realised it was shit.
Mm-hmm.
So, I can't believe we sat through that whole first season of Batwoman just for them to change.
Yeah, it's like a season and a half I got through, but yeah, she did 1 season and then fucked off, and yeah, I hated it. But I mean, regardless, I just need to watch the last season of Superman and Lois now, and once that's done, like, yeah, hats off to the guy. I think they did a tremendous job. Even though it wasn't always the best, it was still a labour of love, I think was the best way to put it. I've got 3 films. Right, I've got Your Monster, which is a film with Melissa Barrera, who I'm not a massive fan of, but I do like a silly horror comedy thing. And it's about a woman who falls in love with a werewolf-looking beast thing. And the reviews of it recently have sounded really fun and silly. And I kind of feel like 2024 has been the year for fun and silly in some parts. So we've had The Fall Guy, and we had Lisa Frankenstein earlier this year, which is a film I really loved. And this kind of feels like it's in that mold of a movie. So Your Monster's one I want to go for. So even I've not been a big Melissa Barrera fan. I hate her in the Scream films, but I kind of want to give her another chance because I enjoyed her in Abigail. So fingers crossed.
So yet again, you've dismissed Hot Frosty, which is exactly what you've just described. But she falls in love with a snowman that comes to life.
I mean, Hot Frosty just sounds like it's an English language version of Snowman's, which was a French Canadian film.
Yeah,
I've seen it. I'm not going to watch it again. It was shit.
Yeah, but this one's not shit-ish.
I didn't ask what Hot Frosty was, but I should have guessed, shouldn't I?
She puts a magical scarf on a. There's a snowman sculpting competition, and so for some reason, someone sculpts this hunk of a man as a snowman, and then she puts a scarf around it, and through the magic of Christmas, it comes to life. And it's obviously, it's one of them things where, yeah, he's fully functional, he's all ripped to fucking everything, but he's got the mind of a moron because he doesn't know anything. So he's like, oh, what is this TV remote? And he gives him the TV, and he's like, how does it work? And the usual thing. Then he learns things from TV, so he's a dab hand in the kitchen.
Well, I've just seen that Charles from Brooklyn Nine-Nine's in it, so that's got my
playing the same character.
Well, that's what he does.
I mean, Joe Latrulio just does Joe Latrulio, doesn't he? Yeah.
Both of them are the same characters, really. If you look at, he's a little police assistant.
Oh, he's got Chabert in as well. Didn't realise she was in it.
I didn't know Doug Judy was in it as well. That's even better.
Yeah, exactly. See, you're convincing yourself though. Just watch it.
I'm not watching it.
You won't
show Snowman. That's enough for me.
You won't be disappointed.
We'll see. I also need to watch The Bike Riders, which is like that really slow burn film with Elvis Presley, Austin Butler, and Jodie Comer that was out earlier this year. It's going to be one I think I'm either going to absolutely love it or just hate it, because it looks like it's a very slow moving, vibes based piece, which sometimes works for me and sometimes I loathe it. So we'll see how that goes. And the last one is probably the most André Gillard of the bunch. It's a French animated film called Slow. It's about a cat that gets yeah. So it's about a cat that gets swept away in like a flood, and it's all the people that he meets on his journey back to his house. I think it's not a side film, but there's obviously no talking in it, so it's just sound effects and stuff. Yeah.
Oh, Jesus, no talking, eh?
You think me out?
The animation looks fantastic, and I watched a film earlier this year that was same kind of thing. There was no talking, and that was a French animated movie that I really enjoyed as well. So
Oh.
how do you want to give this a go?
So Hot Frosty stew. Carry on.
Mm. Yeah, so those are the few films that are on my list to catch up on. Any highlights of Christmas Day terrestrial television worth watching? Stu, anything this year?
I haven't even looked because it's never good, is it?
Yeah, well, I've got the list here. I can tell you what's actually on. What I think might be the most interesting. I don't want to say highlights because they look a bit shit.
Yeah, it's normally drab, but this year is really bad.
When I looked a few weeks ago, it was awful, and there's a lot to be confirmed on there. So I'm guessing it's even worse.
Mm. So there's something called Tiddler on at 2:35. I'm kind of intrigued to see what that is, but
That
that's
was that one. That could have been on Stu's scanner at home.
Yeah, it was going to scare me.
Strictly Come Dancing Christmas special. Ed, are you a Strictly fan?
No, I'm not. No,
I could think of nothing worse than watching
I haven't
cunts
got.
dance.
No,
I don't get it.
I don't understand it. It feels like it's come back into fashion a little bit more, and I've actually heard of a few of the people that are on it these days, but I've never watched. I've probably watched more Game of Thrones.
I've never understood the genre of reality TV that is people who are famous for one thing doing something they're not famous for. I don't understand it.
Celebrities, I've never really been that keen on celebrity life anyway. So
Mm.
watching them being potentially good or bad at a new skill, no, it's not for me.
Yeah.
It's not. Maybe if they were, put them in a cricket team, see how they could do, or put them in a rugby team, maybe. But I don't want to watch them boring dance. No, it's not for me.
No. Whereas Stu, I feel like, I mean, you're the reality TV whore of the podcast. So is this one that you'll be watching?
I mean, yeah, but I don't watch. I don't watch Strictly normally. It's just the Christmas one, but normally because I'm not here, I'm
Well, it must clash with Wolves games, right?
Yeah, well, to that extent that, especially for away games, my mum will have it on her phone. She'll sit there and watch Strictly on the way back from the away game on her phone. Whereas normal people are talking all bollocks or asleep or watching the late game on the way back. She's sitting there watching Strictly on her phone. And so is Cheryl, who's sitting in front of us. Again, they're women of a certain age. That's why these things.
We'll get on to Greg Wallace in a moment as well.
Yeah, but he's ruined the BBC's listings, right?
He has a bit.
I mean, he's ruined something. No. But that's why these things are successful, because there's a massive audience out there that's not us. But yeah, I don't watch like Celebrity The Wheel and things like that. I watch Celebrity Big Brother because it's fascinating because they've got nowhere to hide. But other things, not really. I don't really care. It is quite funny seeing them do things and be terrible at them. But Celebrity Big Brother's been, and obviously I'm a celeb, because they're making fools of themselves and they can't hide away from being who they actually are in there. That's the only ones I'd watch with that. But yeah, Strictly seems like Christmas Day because it's always on. And obviously the old answer used to be Doctor Who, but no, not anymore.
As much as I like Ncuti Gatwa, and it's Nicola Coughlin's in this Christmas one, I will watch it because I like both of them. But the last season wasn't that strong. And I feel like they've sort of eroded what made me love earlier New Who. Like everything up to pretty much Matt Smith. I mean, Capaldi even. Like, I love Capaldi. But everything since him, it's not quite hit this way. So, yeah, 10:05 on Christmas Day, Doctor Who, Joy to the World. I haven't seen the trailer. Like, I will watch it, but it's not one I can say I'm desperate to see.
No, I didn't watch a single second of that last season.
It was all right, but it was all right. Can't say much more than that.
I watched the last year's Christmas special when Tennant and all that stuff.
Mhm.
But then when they turned him gay, and I thought, however much fun and camp nonsense this is, which that episode was funny, I thought I ain't dealing with this BBC stuff anymore. This has gone. Doctor Who was always fucking camp as tits anyway. He had John Barrowman mincing around for years, being he wasn't even bisexual. He was everything sexual, wasn't it? That wouldn't be allowed now. Or Barrowman,
Omnisexual, wasn't it?
omnisexual. That's the one.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't really care about that, but it just seemed way too much, and I thought I ain't into this. Not anymore. It's gone too far.
It's very Russell T Davis. That's
Yeah.
what I'll say about the latest two.
Which
If you like it, you'll like it. If you don't, you won't. I think.
exactly, and I think you look at the ratings, and a lot of people didn't, and it put a lot of people off.
It
But
didn't help them doing the day and date release with
No,
Disney Plus in the States. So I think a lot of people didn't watch it on BBC. They watched it on Disney Plus, which is a mistake.
Yeah.
On BBC's part. Ed, are you a Whovian?
No, not
No.
at all. No, only the stuff that's in sort of the zeitgeist from like what that you saw kind of growing up, but he wasn't really big when we were kids.
Not
Kinda
really.
came-
It was
it
on
came-
its deathbed, wasn't it?
Yeah, I know it came back with Christopher Eccleston, and but I remember watching a couple of his when it first came back, but no, nothing. I'm not in part of the Who universe at all.
but you look at other. It's a Sin was Russell T Davies, wasn't he?
Yeah.
And that was one of the best TV shows ever made.
Mm.
And it was serious, and it wasn't pandering, and it wasn't preachy. It was just a fucking serious program about an awful thing, and it was great. And so many people got over the whole gay thing to watch that show because I badgered them to watch it. And they're like, yeah, actually, it's really good. Well, yes, it is. But that Doctor Who just does not do anything for me whatsoever.
I think you have to be careful. I've not watched any of it, so I don't know. But you have to be careful when you try and mess with something that's already got its own formula. When it comes out and it can have its own statement, that's one thing. But when you retrofit the latest, like what's deemed acceptable on something that's always been the way it's always been, I think you're only ever going to annoy people because it's not what it was made for, is it? And like you said,
It's a fine balance, isn't it? Yeah. It's a fine balance because I think you've got to attract new, younger audiences to keep it going, but you also can't alienate your old audiences.
It's not
So
a
I think-
Jaguar thing.
Yeah, I haven't really paid much attention to that, but didn't that advert not have any Jaguar cars in?
It had no. It was like an advert for fucking Balenciaga.
Mm.
It was a load of people dancing around. A lot of they-thems dancing around. Let's just say that.
Right.
With a lot of bright colours and wearing things that you wouldn't expect them to wear. Nothing to do with Jaguar at all. I mean, what the fuck are you doing? And then you look at the share price, just a complete bottomed out, same as everyone else. Who, like what happened with Bud Light last year. Just know your audience. It's just madness. But that's how I kind of was with Doctor Who as well. I think, yeah, you've got a level of it, but you've always got a level of it, but it's just a bit too much.
Mm. What I will say is the episode with the babies talking, it was one of the weirdest fucking things I've ever seen. It was the ugliest shit I've ever seen on anything. Horrendous. But like it did have some nice bits. It just also had some shit that I have no interest in seeing again. So I don't know. But I do like him, so who knows? It might go. One thing I do think you'll probably both enjoy. So on BBC Two, we've got Wallace and Gromit: The Wrong Trousers,
Yes.
Wallace and Gromit: A Grand Day Out, both at 10:15, 10:45, and then on BBC One we have the debut Vengeance Most Foul, the new film from Wallace and Gromit. I'm quite a late convert to Wallace and Gromit. I only saw them like within the last probably 5 or 6 years. I think I watched them like, where have you been all my life? This is incredible. I loved it. It was just brilliant. So I'm really excited about this. This is probably my highlight of Christmas, I think.
Yeah, because we've got the return of one of the best baddies that's ever been in cinema.
Yeah. Yeah. Feathers McGraw making his triumphant return. Can't wait for it. Mrs. Brown's Boys Christmas special. It doesn't say repeat next to it, so I think they've made a new episode. Jew, you like terrible things. Is this too terrible for you?
We've talked about Mrs. Brown's Boys in the past. I will always say that first season of Mrs. Brown's Boys, I absolutely adored. I thought it was piss funny. I saw it live at the Civic before the Civic shut down, and it was amazing. Yet, when as soon as it got, because that was the Irish stuff, that was the Irish one that they just kind of telecast, whatever you want to call it, simcast. As soon as it went mainstream BBC One UK, it was fucked. There's a massive difference where you can see it. You can see the difference between the whole mammy stuff and whatever. You can see there's a clear difference where it goes from being this weird Irish kind of niche piss take to, people over 55 in the UK love this. All the people on the bus who get the free bus pass love this. Isn't he grand? We know the audience exactly the same as the Strictly people. And it is, I went with it with my mom for that reason. But even some of them are weighing on now, but that's what the audience is. I did love it. I haven't watched it for years. It doesn't do anything for me. But that first season was class.
Ed, rebuttal?
No, I've got nothing. I think I may have got through 2 or 3 minutes of it, and it wasn't for me. And that wasn't the first series. I've never watched the first series, so I can't comment on what you just said, but I struggled through a couple of minutes once and actively turned it over. It's not for me, that.
No, I'm with you. I think it's a horrendous viewing. Gavin and Stacey Christmas special. Ed, where do you sit on Gavin and Stacey?
It should have stopped when it stopped. I liked it. I think it was a phase for James Corden when people could tolerate him, and he hadn't quite gone up himself to the point that he is now. I will watch it because I have to see what he answered, because I watched the last one in 2018. But it's begrudging watching because I just need to know the answer to whether Smithy says yes or not. It should have stayed with those 2 series. It did. It should have stopped then when it was good, and it probably should have stopped after the first one. In all honesty, the first series is brilliant. The second series has its moments. The special, I don't remember anything about the special other than the fact that it had a cliffhanger ending. I don't remember anything of it, so it should have probably stopped 1.5 series in. I think it was fine for what it was. Good British comedy, well written, good characters that you could care about, and it should have stopped there in our nostalgia. A bit like the In-Betweenity before they then carried on doing movies. It should have stayed where it was.
Although I've got to say, I watched In-Betweeners 2 like 2 or 3 weeks ago. I did laugh quite a bit. Like, I remember seeing it when it was first out and wasn't massively keen. It was fine, but nothing more. But I watched it back and actually, this is quite funny. Like when Neil shits himself, he's getting onto the water slide and bits, and I thought, actually, yeah, I laughed more than I thought I was going to on this rewatch. So it's worth a revisit. But Gavin and Stacey, I don't think is. I mean, we've had, was it 3 seasons and a special, and
There was the 3. I don't remember.
Sure, there was a third one. I remember watching it with my mom because she was interested. I thought, she's just shit, and it partly because James Corden became James Corden that we all know and despise now. I think when we had James Corden as History Boys, and like he was coming to, actually, you've got a bit of humour about you, but it's very much in small doses. And the more that Gavin and Stacey got bigger, the more that he got more fame and more ego, it just sort of became detrimental to it. I agree. If it had finished after 1 season, it probably would have been all right. I don't think many people would harp on about it, but it would have been fine. I have no interest in seeing it. I'd forgot that it ended on a cliffhanger. I couldn't give a shit if he says yes or no. I hope he dies. Like, fucking drop a nuke on him. Just get rid of the lot of them. I just don't like them. Yeah, all the characters annoy me in it, so not for me. Stu, what do you reckon to it?
Never seen a second, don't care.
No, I think that's probably the best bet, to be honest.
Yeah, if you weren't invested at the time, don't bother now.
No, it completely passed me by. I never liked him. Didn't like him in Fat Friends either. Just no.
But I've just noticed BBC Two, 310 and 505. We've got Some Like It Hot and North by Northwest.
Oh,
I know I'm going to be watching.
yeah,
And we've got High Society. Fuck me, that's a belter. Will we be watching the King's Speech, or will we be watching who's the alternative this year?
on Channel 4. I didn't actually look that up.
Doesn't say on the.
I've never
the
watched
alternative.
one. I've never watched
No,
one.
neither have I. No, same. Stu, will you be joining King Prince Charles, or will you just be
I'll be
checking over it?
standing up, saluting at 3 o'clock, customer. No. I've watched it once or twice. Just out of curiosity because it's been on. But nah.
Well, Andy's just told me Some Like It Hot's on at the same time, so I know which one I'm going to watch. So
Yeah, well, 310, but that's on BBC Two. Also at 310 on ITV's Home Alone 2, Lost in New York.
that's a difficult
Tough choice.
isn't it? That's-
It's a difficult choice. There's not really a lot on looking on ITV.
No, there isn't.
3:50 a.m. on Christmas Day. It's a Wonderful Life. Why are you not putting that on to better time slot than fucking 10 to 4 in the morning?
You know that the NFL games on Christmas Day are on Netflix this year.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what I'll be watching.
Mm.
Yeah, and NFL and NBA I've written down as some of mine as well, so I'll watch the basketball as well.
Mm. On Channel 4, we've got the Italian Job, the 69 version, Miracle on 34th Street, the 94 version. East is East, Notting Hill. There's a few half decent films. Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Yeah, I've written that down. Raiders is on, so that's worth it.
Yeah. There's bits and bobs. And like looking on Channel 5, the whole day's just repeats. Other than Andrew Ridgeley's best Christmas songs. Past 9. Gee, I'm sure you'll be watching that. Followed by at 11:05, Britain's favourite 80s songs.
This is the stuff I used to record all this kind of thing.
Yeah,
But in the build up to Christmas, when this happens on Christmas Day, I don't care because I'm not going to be watching it. If it was on the 22nd or the 23rd, I'd absolutely watch it.
yeah, and all the specials, about all the bits famous bits from previous Christmases. You used to watch all those as well.
On the 21st of December, I'm sure it's the 21st, I think it's on BBC Two, they're showing Wham! The Story of Last Christmas. Like, I want to see that. That's going to be brilliant. But you are right that if it's on Christmas Day, I probably wouldn't watch it because I don't feel like Christmas Days to be sat around watching the TV until it's like 10 o'clock at night when you're just winding down. Like I watched the Caroline Aherne documentary last year. Where the half was asleep and I was watching that, bawling my eyes out because it's just the most heartbreaking stuff at the end. It's well worth a watch though if you haven't seen it. It's tremendous.
It's still on until Christmas Day this year on iPlayer.
It's worth a watch because she was brilliant and it's just heartbreaking at the end. But yeah, excellent. Right, the final question then of this week is any new Christmas films out that we need to be made aware of? Anything released in the 2020s, so anything within the last 5 years? Stu, don't say hot press. Ed, I'm going to come to you first.
So I'll write 2 down, but again, only watch them if you've got nothing else to do because there really aren't any good Christmas films. Post Elf, probably. And I have an issue with Elf as well, which it's not maybe as great as people make out.
No, you're right.
Jingle Jangle. It's the whole third act in Elf, by the way, that I can't stand. The way
Will Ferrell and Zooey Deschanel in Elf that I can't stand.
Jingle Jangle was okay. A Netflix special 2020 that was. But same issue that Elf has, it falls down in the third act and you forget what you're supposed to care about because characters are introduced out of nowhere. But you got Forrest Whitaker singing and dancing. And it's worth it for the special effects. It's worth it. The music is good. The choreography is very good. It has that world building vibe that we talked about with Muppets Christmas Carol, but obviously with Netflix money and new fangled CGI and all the other good stuff they can do. And then the other one, if you can stomach Melissa McCarthy, which some people can't, Genie from a couple of years ago is all right. It's Richard Curtis. It's about a guy that finds a lamp. He's a workaholic, and his wife goes away for Christmas because all he cares about is work, and takes the kids with her, and says, if you want to save this marriage, you need to fix up. And the genie, Melissa McCarthy doing Melissa McCarthy things, being a bit clumsy, being a bit like overtly, oh, I'm a bit overweight, aren't I? Kind of jokes. It's funny in places. It's Richard Curtis, but it's not Richard Curtis doing British humour. It's Richard Curtis doing American humour. So it has its faults and it has its good bits, but it's worth a watch, and it's still on streaming. So worth a watch.
Interesting. I do like Melissa McCarthy when she's not working on films written by her husband.
Yeah.
Weirdly, I think that they don't work well together. I don't know why, but like that superhero thing she did, I thought was terrible. It had such promise, but it was just a bit flat in the end.
Yeah, the main character is he's English, but he plays an American, but he's good. And then you got Alan Cummings is in it, and he's always worth a good cameo appearance. So yeah, it's worth a watch if you go an hour and a half. It's only 90 minutes, so it doesn't take up your life.
Perfect. Stu?
I mean, anything with her in, I'm not watching. So, Jingle Jangle is good though. Especially when they go outside into the snow, and that scene is superb. But yeah, a lot of Victorian, a lot of cogs everywhere.
Yeah, it's steampunky, isn't it?
Yeah, it's really good. A bit like how Spirited, which is Andy's nightmare, Will Ferrell and Ryan Reynolds together.
Yeah.
I strangely enjoyed that one, but no, I've got a few. Home Sweet Home Alone, which is nowhere near as bad as you imagine it to be, and it's actually got Buzz in it as well. So it's the real third film. Violent Night, we've talked about before. It's effectively Home Alone for adults. Obviously, we've got to rep our walls, man, for your Christmas or Mine, and the second one.
Yeah, both very good, fun movies.
And can we count holdovers?
I think so, because I mean, the fact that it was released in January here is just ridiculous, because it is 100% a Christmas film. Like, there's no two ways about it. It's about kids stopping at boarding school for Christmas. It's a Christmas film.
Yeah. It's in the list.
Was it Oscar nominated, or was it?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I'm sure it was. And look, it was deserving of Oscar nomination. It was an outstanding movie. I'd completely forgot about that because of it being released in January over here, and it just made no sense why it was released then. They'd been better off just postponing it for 10 months and releasing it now for the UK market, but it's the world we live in, isn't it, I suppose? Good shout, though, that is. The two that I've gone a bit more traditionally-ish, I suppose you'd say. 8-Bit Christmas. I don't know if you ever saw that one from a couple of 3 years back. It's got Neil Patrick Harris in, who I am a fan of. And it's Neil Patrick Harris is the narrator in this story, and he's talking about his childhood in the 80s. So it probably works for people of our age more so than anything, because he talks about when he was a kid wanting a Nintendo Entertainment System and all of the dodgy things they got up to try and save the money to try and buy a Nintendo Entertainment System. And it's just this really fun, nostalgic look at the 80s and childhood and the things you wanted as a kid, but also it's about how him and his group of friends banded together. So it's got those Christmas feels to it because it's got a lot of heart. I really enjoyed it. It was silly nonsense, very throwaway, but at the same time, I think a lot of Christmas films tend to be throwaway, so it was nothing, compared to anything else. That was good. This year I watched Dear Santa, the Jack Black film. I kind of feel like the Jack Black hate is a bit forced at the moment. Everyone seems to be like really rallying against him. I don't know if it's the Kyle Gass saying the thing about the
Trump thing,
the assassination attempt, if only he hadn't missed or something. I don't know if it just feels really forced, because Jack Black does a lot of really good films and he's always really good fun. And in this, it's about a kid who writes to Santa because he wants his parents to not get divorced. Except this kid's dyslexic, so he doesn't write to Santa, he writes to Satan. And Jack Black plays Satan. It's just fun, silly nonsense. It's perfect, big over the top performance from Jack Black. It's kind of what you want to see from him. So it works. Peacock, I think that is streaming on, but that's worth a watch as well. So those are the two for me that I think are recent films that I've really enjoyed over the last couple of years. Right then, so that's this week done. Next week we'll be back and we'll be doing Christmas Future. Make sure you've got us on your podcatchers at Cage Fighting Pod for the socials. For this week, Stu, would you like to say goodbye?
Goodbye. Get your giblets head.
Ed, would you like to say goodbye?
After that, no. See you later, everyone.
Does this all the fucking time? So no. It's goodbye from me, and remember, be excellent to each other.